Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and we're here today with a viewer request on fussy cutting. They wanted to know how to do fussy cutting. So I figured, okay, we've got the block that they were talking about, asking about how I did fussy cutting on it. So we're going to redo that block, but all I'm going to do is show you the fussy cutting today. So this is going to be a little fun, a little happy, but anyways. Okay, first off, before we get going, let's do our shout out because I will forget. I know I will forget. Laura from SewVeryEasy is a fellow Canadian here on YouTube, and I have kept forgetting to give her a shout out. And she doesn't know this is coming, and I started watching her years ago, and I am just so happy that she's still coming up with such beautiful, wonderful quilting ideas. And she also does occasionally she does other sewing projects, but wow, she's a really lovely quilter. She has some great stuff going on. Now, another thing you're going to find in the show notes, besides her YouTube channel, is that I speak for free. I speak for free to quilting groups and quilting guilds, right? I talk about elements of design, making charity quilts, and, you know, just working with scraps, working with my scrap fabric. So if your guild is looking for a speaker that's going to talk about that, please put my name forward. I'd be happy to speak to them. And it's my way of giving back to the quilting community. So I'm always so inspired by the people I talk to. The best ones are when we gather a little early on Zoom before the meeting and I get a chance to talk with the other members. Just talk about, you know, quilting ideas or what they're working on or what they're having fun with or all that kind of stuff. Also, the Chaos Sew Along is going to be coming up here in January of 2025. Yes, we finally picked a date for that. And get your scraps ready because it's the unfinished pieces are 4 inches square or 4.5 inches square, or 4.5 by 8.5 inches square. So it's going to be a big quilt. You only have to make 16 blocks to make a queen size quilt. So it's going to be fun and fast, and you know, it's a perfect way to use up your scraps. Now you're going to need color and low volume, but make sure you have enough contrast between your colors and your low volume so that this quilt pattern will work for you. Also, we have a Facebook group. It's warm, welcoming, growing very quickly. We do all the same fun things that other Facebook groups do, except we have a sewing room set up for the members of the Facebook group under Discord, and you just have to ask the admins for an invitation and you're in the room sewing with people from all over the world. It is so much fun. We've had a great time in there. You know, I try and get in there as often as I can, but it's, you know, it's a lot of fun. And the ladies are actually sewing together, actually becoming friends. It's really a fun place to hang out. Also, we have Zoom sew dates. That's once a month, and usually it's the first Saturday of the month. And the dates now are going to be listed in the show notes below, so you can mark them on your calendar and you can bring whatever you're working on. Don't necessarily bring something that I'm showing you how to do. Bring something that's inspiring you, that's making you happy. And if you don't feel like sewing that day and you want to bring your knitting, please do. It's a fun place to come hang out. And we try and talk with everybody and find out what everybody's working on, just because I'm nosy, you know. Again, we just have a great time. It's just fun. Also, share, like, and subscribe. If you like what you're seeing here and you want us to keep giving you free patterns and free ideas and how-tos and all the rest of it, please share and like with your friends. I mean, put a comment in. Commenting also helps our analytics, and it helps put our video forward so that other quilters can find us. So that would be really helpful. I think that I've covered it all. Yes, I have. So come on in. Let's show you how to do some fussy cutting. Okay, this is the block reflecting the eye of the pyramid. And I'll try and put that video link in here. This is the one that started all the questions on the fussy cutting, right? Now, the fussy cutting is the K-facet cabbage rows here in the center. And the rest of this is just, you know, fun little scraps I had kicking around that just I had to use. And I had, of course, a really cute little, you know, cutesy little background that pulled in all of the colors that are here. But so the question is, how did I fussy cut the K-facet, the cabbage rows? Now, I don't have any more of this cabbage rose fabric, so I'm going to show you on different fabric how to fussy cut. And then if you do have, you know, larger scale stuff that you want to fussy cut, at least now you know how to do it, right? Now, so I'm going to put this to the side. What you're going to need is a rotary cutter, tailor's chalk. Now I'm going to explain to you why you need tailor's chalk, because it's the fabric I picked, right? And tailor's chalk, my husband got this off of Amazon. I can't live without it. It's wonderful. Sometimes when you're doing fussy cutting, a lot of it, you'll need some washi tape. Now I have some copper washi tape. I'm not sure if it'll focus well, but this is one that, you know, that usually that I find very helpful. Some fabric scissors, and of course, this is what we're going to fill. Yes, it's dark. I made a dark one here, but you'll see in a second what this is going to do. Okay, so a ruler, and of course, this template. That's the center of reflecting the eye of the pyramid, right? That's the very center of it. Now, I know I've got this big orange strip because I took it off of those binder tabs, right? So this orange strip was there. I mean, it is what it is, and I'm just, I'm going to work with it. Now, let's talk about fussy cutting first. So I have fabric, and to fussy cut, you need fabric that's kind of, has a lot of space, or a lot of, like there's a lot of room, or that, it captures a big area, or it takes up, the pattern will take up a lot of room. Now, I chose this fabric because I thought this would be kind of a cute fabric to work with. And I'm just going to lay this out as flat as I can. I did iron it the other day. I also starched this, right? So this has got quite a bit of starch in it. And this is one of the first things I do when I'm talking about fussy cutting. Starching your fabric is your friend, right? And you starch it from behind. And I didn't put a heavy starch on this, but I mean, I did starch it because once you lay this out and you figure out, okay, this is where I want this piece to go, you're now looking at, okay, this is all bias edge all the way around, right? And you're like, oh dear, so, and biases stretch. They're notorious for stretching. So it's kind of like, okay, so I could also do one this way, and I would still have all the bias stretching, right? And of course, you got to make sure your piece fits within that 1/4 inch. Now this is this template I have includes the seam allowance. So you don't want it to be sitting like this, because you're going to cut off the bird's tail and, a good part of the leaf, right? You could also do a pineapple, right? Like do a pineapple here, or this, Hawaiian flower. You could, kind of center it, right? You would still pick up a pineapple if you went this way, but you might, it might be fun to do it this way, just a little off. See, if you put it on grain, that's where you are, right? So, I mean, you do, basically you're eyeballing where this would work the best, right? So you don't want anything covered into your 1/4 inch. So you want to go a little bit more this way to center it, kind of center it, and that's where you would cut. Now this is where the tailor chalk comes in. Tailor chalk on black works great. If you're doing this on a paler color or light, you could probably get away with drawing this template around in a pencil, right? And it wouldn't be a problem. Now, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to I like the parrot. I think the parrot's pretty cool. So I'm going to make sure I'm kind of centered, and you want to make sure, like with the washi tape, I use 1/4 inch washi tape. So I can pretty much judge very quickly, because I have a little ruler here, that, okay, all of this pattern will fit perfectly in like so. So now I pull out a tailor's chalk, and of course I can't get it open because I'm on camera. Oh, there it is. I'm going to use yellow because I think yellow will work. Oh, this is a very fast, quick way of doing this. So you just put this down and you draw along the outside edge. And what happens is that the tailor's chalk leaves marks, right? Because it's being, kind of on the outside edge. It's getting kind of chewed at by the plastic template. Now, okay, here we go, all the way down and across. Oops. Let me just get this corner. Okay, so now I think I've got this all marked pretty well, and I'm just going to pull it out like that, and you can see, of course, some of this area here didn't come up very good, so I'm just going to like draw in. Okay, so here we've outlined our bird. Now we do our test. We take a ruler. Do I have a 1/4 inch? I have more than a 1/4 inch from the inside lines, and I have more than a 1/4 inch. So I'm just basically going to have this bird surrounded by, you know, black. And the bird is pretty much centered, you know, on the piece. Now, some people might argue, well, it could go one way or the other. That's true, right? Now, that's basic. You eyeball it and you put it in and you do it. Okay, so I can cut through this now and not be too badly worried about, you know, how bad that piece is going to be. But you haven't showed you anything on the washi tape. Now I'm cutting this piece and I'm leaving all of the chalk on this side of the ruler, right? So I'm not cutting any chalk. Okay, so let's move this around to get this piece out of the way. I'm going to cut right through. There we go. And that's coming off like so. There we go. And this side I'm going to cover the chalk because I know I can. Oops. And there we go. And we'll... that didn't go up for enough. I did. Okay. And I'm going to cover the chalk here. Point to point. Now I've got this part free, and I'm just going to trim off the little ends, because that's all that is little ends. Now, if you're doing repetitive sized, you know, repetitive sized fussy cutting like I did on my Mrs. Bannister star, you're going to have, you know, you're going to have to make a window, right? So let me show you what I mean by making a window. So I'm going to get all the little threads off here because everything in this room is covered with threads. So let's say I want to make a 4-inch block, okay? Oops. I want to make a 4-inch block, and I want my pineapple, you know, on the diagonal, right? So I'm going to have to take, you know, this piece and put, you know, this kind of like run across, and this is where I would open up my washi tape, and for the life of me, I can't see the end of it. Okay, maybe there is none, no end. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Goes the other way. There. So with the washi tape, you would want to mark, okay, is it there? Like you could mark it. If you have to do the same thing over and over and over again, you would want to mark it on your ruler. Okay, this is where I have to cut. Let's make it 4.5 instead. Right? Let's go. Let's try that again, because obviously I didn't go far enough across. Now, you have to do it this way, because you want all of your, if you were doing, let's say, 12 pineapples or more, you would almost have to do it this way, just to get all the pieces the same, to look the same, right? So you would take off your washi tape, you know, and you'd clip it here, and then you would go 4.5 inches the other way, right? So you're right there. And that would give you lines. So you're not sitting there going, okay, did I make it big enough? Did I do this? Did I do that? Right? So here you go. You've got your washi tape. And you would keep cutting it. Now you can see where your, you know, from top to bottom, where your line is. So you can center it on an angle or put it in, you know, up and down, straight up and down like this. You know, you can kind of see better where it is and where you have to cut. So the first 2 cuts then would be made this way. You want to go a little bit this way. Here. So the first 2 cuts would be made this way and this way, right? And then you would turn it around and you'd peel off all this stuff, and then you would go the other way. I'll show you what I mean here. Hang on. So we're going to cut this piece out just like this. right? Just like that. And oops, I missed a spot. Hang on. She should probably change the rotary blade. So here it is, just a little bit bigger than it needs to be, right? Okay, so then we turn it around. And we would line this up to our 4.5 inch line, top and bottom. And then we would do the other 2 cuts. And we would have something centered, a little motif that's now centered. So hopefully that all, nope, it didn't cut. Of course it didn't cut. Of course it didn't cut. Of course it didn't cut. It never cuts. All right, what am I doing here? Let's just cut this now and get it over with. There, so there it is. There's your pineapple now, fussy cut. It's reasonably well centered. Maybe you could have went over a bit more this way, but you know, we didn't have enough fabric either. The other thing is if you are doing, let's say, like what I did with Mrs. Bannister's star, I actually made a piece of plastic that I could, it was, you know, it had a hole in it. And when I went around it, it had, you know, a 1/4 inch seam allowance, right? So my template for fussy cutting was only a 1/4 inch wide around. So I could see where the figures were going to be and where the seam allowance was going to be. Then I would use my tailor's chalk to draw it out because it was on black. And I would eliminate all this guesswork. That way I could perfectly center it. Because you can kind of now sit there and center it and go, wow, I really don't like this. Maybe I only wanted a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch on this side, and I've got too much on this side now. Well, you can now change that if you want, right? But it's fussy cutting, yeah. There's people that make little windows or little boxes out of like cereal boxes or whatever. They make cardboard windows so that you can actually see where the piece is going to end up. Now I'm going to put this in with my black scraps, and when I get to using my black crumbs, I will, you know, put this in as a, you know, a cute little fun piece here, and I'll probably cut the rest of this up too. But anyways, that's a quick take on fussy cutting. You can measure from the side to side too as to where your motif needs to be. Fussy cutting does take up a lot more fabric than what most people think it does. Like if I wanted to fussy cut another bird out of here, you know, it would be, I'd be really tight on one side because I don't have enough fabric here, you know, that kind of thing. You can measure it so you have equal amounts all the way around the fabric, you know, like from your color. So from here, I can pretty much fit the entire pineapple in and leave 1/2 inch all the way around. That would look really nice, nicely centered, you know, in a block, right? But you have to work at it. And if you do have, let's say, a pattern that you do have to, you know, mark a certain point here, has to be here, or point there, use your washi tape, because your washi tape will just come right off afterwards on your ruler, right? So that's kind of a, you know, if you were matching the cleavage of a heart, and that cleavage of the heart had to be right in this square here, well, now you can move your ruler until you get that cleavage and that little square there just by laying off a little piece of washi tape. Oops, there we go. If you were making a heart, I didn't have any heart fabric either. If you're making a heart, okay, the cleavage has to meet right there, right? Well, now you know where it has to go, and you've got that little mark so that you have several, you can do several of them at once, right? So anyways, let's get back to, I'm going to finish sewing this block with my parrot piece, and I'll get to our ta-da moment to show you what it all looks like. Okay, so here is our ta-da moment. And you got the parrot on the palm leaves, you know, just sitting situated. Now you could rotate this guy this way as well, you know, if you wanted all your larger diamonds to go this way in your quilt. But I thought, okay, so here we picked it out, and I did show you how to do the fussy cutting. Now, like I said, I ran out of this cabbage rose, otherwise I would have used a cabbage rose, but I no longer have any cabbage rose. Now, the quilt behind me is Mrs. Bannister's Star by Jen Kingwell. And the little black figures in here are all fussy cut. And that's the template I used, where I just had the 1/4 inch seam, or, you know, the plastic is around, so I could see really clearly as to where I was fussy cutting these little people, or the little figures in here, right? Because I didn't want to, you know, be cutting off somebody's feet or somebody's head, or, you know, whatever. But that's what we came up with, right, on this. So there's different ways of doing fussy cutting. Everybody does fussy cutting a little different. You know, it's something to play with and to have fun with, because you can really add quite a lot to a quilt just by doing a little fussy cutting like I did here, or here, you know, on these ones here. So yeah, and you know, like with this reflecting the eye of the pyramid, you could line one this way and the other one this way in your blocks, and it would look very different again. Or, you know, like go all dark, or, you know, like the eye of the pyramid at midnight or something, you know. It'll be fine. It was fun. So I'm glad you asked the question. I can't remember the name of the viewer that asked, but it was like, thank you for reminding me to show how to do fussy cutting, because it does add so much. Now, it's also called intentional cutting. So if you're looking up other YouTubers, you might want to, you know, type in intentional cutting or fussy cutting. You know, both of those refer to the same thing, and everybody has a different voice on how to do it. So you know, it's interesting to go find out what other people have to say about it as well. So I hope everything in your life is going really great for you, and your day is blissful in your sewing room. So take care and stay well until we see each other again. Okay, bye! Hello again. We just want to thank you for enjoying our video and, you know, coming along with my husband and my YouTube adventure and quilting. And, you know, sometimes things don't work out as best they should, and sometimes they work out great. We're going, wow, that went well. But it's been an amazing journey, and I'm so glad I could share it with you. Share, like, and subscribe these videos. That really helps us out, and it helps us make more charity quilts, okay? So you guys take care until we have a chance to meet again, okay? Bye!